All right, welcome everyone. Uh, Welcome to Civil 3D Project Explorer. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'd like to present the new Project Explorers that came out last week for Civil 3D as part of as well as the release of Civil 3D 2021.1. Um, they got released both last week together. So my name is Samir Razak, and I'll be demoing the new addition to Civil 3D. Feel free to ask me any questions as we go along. I have the questions pane open through the GoToMeeting interface. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll do my best to address any questions you have. But without much PowerPoint, I'd like to go ahead and get started in the software. Project Explorer is a new add-in. It is a separate install, so you need to install that separately from the 2021.1 update. It actually is an add-on that is available for Civil 3D 2020 and 2021, and it's a part of the AAC collection. So you have to have a license of the AAC collection, and you will be able to see it in your Autodesk account online for download under the AAC collection node. When you install Project Explorer, it will actually pop in the add-in tab, and you'll see the Launch Project Explorer button. Project Explorer is a technology that Autodesk acquired back in May, and it helps with managing your civil data. We are so accustomed to managing it through the Prospector tab, and oftentimes we have to jump in through a lot of dialog boxes and a lot of little plus nodes here to find the object that we want to interface with. And Project Explorer kind of streamlines this operation a lot, as well as it provides a whole host of powerful tools for creation of tables and reports and spreadsheets. So you can really export anything that you feel like exporting out of Civil 3D in a different format, or create AutoCAD tables. Unlike Civil 3D tables, AutoCAD tables have been a lot more customizable and user-friendly over the years, but we were not able to create AutoCAD tables from Civil 3D objects, and finally now we can, which is really awesome. We can utilize the easy customization of AutoCAD tables and dynamically populate the table with Civil 3D data. So I'd like to show you that today. So I have on my screen today a simple drawing. It contains a pipe network, corridor, couple of alignments and profiles, and an existing surface and a proposed surface, and number of Cougar points that I'd like to show you how we can work with these items. So to get started, we'll go in the Add-in tab, and I'll click the Launch Project Explorer button. And because I have it open, it should appear for me right there. So it's a separate modeless window, and it contains all the objects that you are familiar with up top here via tabs. So it's a tabbed interface. You got the alignment tab, assembly tab, corridor tab, and so on. And you can interact with the drawing as you feel like. I can draw things and delete things as necessary. So oftentimes what people have been doing that used this technology before, they usually put this interface on a separate monitor just to take less real estate from your AutoCAD environment. I will keep it on top here just because I'm sharing one screen. But it does help to put this on a separate monitor if you have two monitors. That way you can keep it open all the time and then continue designing. So as you can see here, I have a drawing and it contains a whole bunch of surfaces and alignments and pipe networks and so on. And every civil data that you have in the drawing is available to you right within this Project Explorer interface. It is a really good name for this. It explores your project. You can explore all your civil projects, all the design elements in the drawing right from the interface here. If you need to create a new object, you always have the create, whether it's an alignment or a corridor or create. The creation tools are available right there, and this will bring up the familiar Civil 3D window to create the object. But other than that, the beauty of this thing is that you can see all of your objects in a nicely organized way, a lot nicer and bigger than the Prospector tab. And once you have an object selected in the middle portion, you can see the information about it, just like the Vista or the Panorama. And you have all the information regarding that particular element. So that used to take a couple of clicks to open up the Panorama, the alignment toolbar, and then the Panorama Vista for the alignment entities. Now it's just right there. And you can cycle between one alignment to another alignment really, really easily, and the interface updates. Now, the beauty is the profile view that we have up top. So at any point in time, if I have this alignment, I can see the alignment in profile view. And if I select the profile for it, the design profile, it highlights. If you have more than one profile, it'll highlight the one profile, and then the other profile will be available to you as well. But notice I don't have an existing surface profile for this particular ascent place alignment. And there is no need to, because I always can compare something to another thing. And the development of object relationships becomes very, very easily now with this compare to button up top. I can say, hey, I wanted to compare my ascent place to my existing surface. And right, just like that, I now have in profile view two profiles, the proposed and the existing. And I can actually also read the information here point by point at the station increment that I'm interested in. So if I browse all the way to the right, you'll see that I'm comparing it to the existing site surface, and here is the elevation at that particular increment. So the increment is controlled at the bottom here. I can increase that. Let's say just every 100 foot, I need an increment rather than 10 feet. So that list becomes a lot less. And everywhere I select, it gives me the preview at on the screen in the profile view. And if I hit the control button, it tells me where I am in plan view as well. So very, very powerful in knowing where I am in the plan view as well. So just by toggling the control button on the keyboard gives you a preview of where you are in the drawing, as well as up here. The tabular view at the bottom here, you can always change what you see. So there's plenty of information here, and that might be a little bit overwhelming or unnecessary. So at the very bottom, you can control what you see. We can control that by the layout button. Click the layout button, and you get to choose what exactly do you want to see in this layout tabular view. So we have a different layout for each object. So once you open the layout, opens up a dialog box, and you can control what kind of layout you'd like to see based on what object you're working on. So I'd like to see the for alignment calculated stations. So that would be the alignment calculated stations view. And with that, this is a lot, right? There's so many properties here that we can read that may be too much. So I can say, hey, I just want the station, the elevation, and maybe the compared to and the compared elevation. So just those handful of data, and I can hit OK, and the tabular view updates. So very, very powerful. and at any point in time I can go and change this compared to something different. Now this layout is easily exportable or tabulated, and I will show you that in a little bit. But any layout that you see here, any kind of column formatting that you would like, anything at all, you can always create a table out of that or a spreadsheet out of that, which becomes very, very handy and powerful and way, way more efficient than any AutoCAD report or Civil 3D report, in my opinion. The profile view here is controlled by the vertical exaggeration is as easy as changing that little drop-down menu, and you get a different view. So you always have the ability to have profile views without actually creating profile views, which is awesome, I think. If you don't like any colors of the interface, you can go to the Preferences button, click the Preferences button, and this gives you the ability to change the colors of the interface. So right here I have the interface, and it's giving me colors of different objects in my screen. And I can say for profiles, I'd like my background here not to be gray. Let's say, for example, I'd like my background to be white, and I can hit OK. And now that now is white. So now I need to fix my text and things, but that's the idea. You can really easily change any colors of anything. Anything that is in magenta right now, by default the color is magenta, but anything that is magenta you can change. So if I figured out that I would like to rename this, it's in magenta, so I can just double click on it and I can rename that, and as easy as that. I don't really need to go and open up the alignment properties to rename that. So making it very easy to change information on the fly. I have a couple of drawing corridors here. So we have the assembly tab, the corridor tab, and in the corridor tab you can really harness this profile view to review your corridor very, very quickly. So I have an ascent place corridor up top, and then the Jeffries Road corridor at the bottom. If I didn't know which one is which, you simply click it, hit Control, and it highlights in the drawing right away. Very beautiful, I think. And likewise, you can always compare something to another thing. So I'd like to compare my ascent place corridor to my existing site. I'll zoom out a little bit. You see my existing surface right there. It's showing up in green. Again, that colors can be modified. I can change the vertical exaggeration if I wish to. I can then cycle through the stations really quickly. Perhaps I want to cycle through Jeffries Ranch Road here and see how the tie-in is happening by a station. So as you can see, as you cycle through the stations, it changes. So similar to the section view editor, but if you remember, the section view editor puts you in a new interface with the viewports quadrupled, and sometimes it tends to be slow. This is really, really fluid. And likewise, you have the corridor baselines and the corridor feature lines. And again, you can select one feature line here and say, hey, I just want to see where that is. So you select it, and it highlights in the drawing really quickly. Likewise with the baselines, tells you which baseline is where. So a very, very helpful way of reviewing your design. One of the most used or requested features that I feel like from my clients is the ability to have Cougar Points reference the station and offset from an alignment. And we typically want to tabulate that and have a dynamic relationship. And now we can. I have a number of light poles here for along my alignment, and I have a group for them. You don't have to have a group for them because you always have the all points group, but I created a light poles group. So all the groups in my drawing are available to me in the top interface here, and then at the bottom is the points that is in it. So now we have 10 points, right? And I can again use the control key trick to view the point. But the very nice feature that we have now is the ability to compare things, and so maybe perhaps I'd like to compare the point numbers or the Cougar points to an alignment. So let's say the ascent place alignment, just the alignment. And when I do that, you can see that all the way to the right here, if I scroll all the way, it tells me the station, right, and as well as the offset. Right, so all of them are on the left, so it's all negative. But I have this information now very easily to create uh, tables out of that. If this is too many columns right now, so perhaps we'd like to fine tune things. So we have the layout tab here, and we can go back and figure out which point which property we'd like to have here. But you can always save the listing here so that you're not redoing the formatting of the tabular view. So in order for me, instead of me clicking one by one, I can say I just wanted to open a layout. So by me opening a layout, I saved the layout prior. So those settings you can really have and share across the teams and be consistent from one project to another, where your tabular view here or your created tables afterwards are all looking consistently. So similar to the concept of Civil 3D styles, these styles can be saved and then open. So I'm going to open a layout style that I've created, and I have this particular layout style. If I open it, once I open it, there is the checkboxes are marked already for me. And then once I hit OK, the tabular view updates, and I chose to have the point number easting, northing, don't have an elevation, and then these points don't have an elevation, and then the station and offset. Now it's as easy as just right clicking, and I can say quick report to AutoCAD table. Never been that easy before, so this is pretty awesome. I'm really excited about that. Right click on it, quick report to AutoCAD table. You can name the table in any way that you want, similar to the properties that we have in Civil 3D. So let's say I'm just gonna name it with the date today. So that's the date. I'm gonna you can use the Project Explorer window, which matches the interface look, or you may have the table looking completely different from what it is in the Project Explorer by assigning a layout style. So instead of me giving the layout style to the tabular view, I can actually not reference the layout in the tabular view, just reference it in the AutoCAD table later on. And I'm just going to use this one right there. There is two tables. This is called the object table up top, and then this is the sub-object table at the bottom here. This is the sub-object, so you got the group as an object, and then the objects contained in there are subs. So perhaps you don't want both, right? So sometimes I don't want both. I can uncheck the use object table, and I can edit the AutoCAD table style. Now this is important. You have to control the AutoCAD table style from within the Project Explorer settings, not from the AutoCAD table style. So, but you have a lot of flexibility in there. So you can change what colors you want, what text font you like, what the size of the text is, right? And once you're happy with that, you can hit OK, OK, and then it's asking you to put in a location for that table, put it in there, and there we go. We have the point number, easting, northing, and elevation, and the station and offset. Now the colors here are dependent on the style. So let me show you how we can modify that. So if I delete this AutoCAD table, this is an AutoCAD table. You can go in here and modify the information. I do the same thing again, and this time I'm gonna use an actual table. Let's do background color here. I'll change that to white, and the text color, I'll put that to red, and we'll do the same thing. Let's do black for text, and background is white. And let's say I would like Arial as a font, Arial narrow, and we'll choose a border color. We'll choose a border color of gray. So a lot of flexibility here. And then we can save this table style as well. You can save it out and then reuse it again later on for consistency purposes. And up here, maybe perhaps I want to put in my username. So my username is Astrevit. And then next to it, I'll put in the report date. So you do it one by one, and then you just copy and paste the programming code here into the box. Hit OK, and put the table in here. And now I've completely made the table look a whole lot different with just a couple of formatting points. So in a little bit, I'm going to show you how to make this table dynamic to the Cougar Points or dynamic to any civil object. Right now, this table is not dynamic. So we have it. It's not yet dynamic. There is an additional feature here, which is pretty powerful that we can utilize to make all the tables dynamically update. So by doing this, I just send it to an AutoCAD table. Notice how you can send it to a report, which may be an HTML, PDF, or spreadsheet. But sending it to an AutoCAD table right away like that, I've created it, but it's a static table at this point. So moving down along here, we have the surface tab. We can get information from the surfaces per face. So very, very powerful. There is a whole lot of triangles. And this is useful for exporting to a different software. So you wouldn't use this if you're just using Civil 3D, but if the contractor asks you for a report, a spreadsheet per face to be imported in another software, that might be really helpful to have. One of the very beautiful features I really found to be really helpful when I was looking at this is the feature line. In Civil 3D, typically to view feature lines on a profile view was not the most straightforward way, and it takes a couple of clicks to accomplish. But with this new profile view that we have all the time, becomes very, very handy. So I'm going to go ahead and create a profile view for this feature line. For the purposes of design, I have a polyline right here that may resemble some sort of important information for the proposed surface. And I'd create a feature line from it. So I'll go up in my Project Explorer, say create feature line from object like I'm used to. And Project Explorer will only be looking at feature lines that are in a site. So it's not going to read any feature lines that are siteless. So important to keep that in mind. I'm going to erase my polyline and create a feature line from that. And right off the bat, I get to see all the feature lines that are within any site. All right, as long as it's in a site, it's going to be listed here in my object table, the middle portion of the interface. And you get to see it in the profile view right there. And similar to how we're accustomed, we can select all the points along that feature line. Perhaps we want to change the elevation. I can right click on it and set constant elevation to feature line points, or set constant grade between feature line points. I'll do constant elevation, and let's say this is going to be elevation 200 here. I don't know exactly what it is, right? But now I've set all the elevations to 200. Now it'd be really, really nice in my profile view to see my existing surface or any kind of relative information that I'm interested in. So up top on the compare tool again, very great, very great. We can really simply click the existing site and I get to see my surface for my existing surface, or perhaps the proposed surface for relative to the parking lot right there. We can be relative to other profiles as well. So Ascent Place is way down here. Perhaps I'd like to know where I'm at on Ascent Place so I can be relative to the Ascent Place profile, right? And that happens to be way up top here. So now I know. And because I've seen it profile view, I also have it in the tabular view all the way to the right. I can see that the compared elevation is 187 here at the start. So I can go back to my feature line and set the elevation here to be perhaps 187, and that updates on the fly. It goes down 187, and then perhaps at the end here, I want to set a constant grade from there. So I set constant grade between feature line points, and I can say set slope or grade. I can say here I just want it to be 1%, and hit OK, and that kind of matches 1% going up. So very easily to figure out the grading of the feature line. We also have tools for parcels. If we have a parcel, I don't have any parcels right now. One of the really awesome tools is pipe networks. I am told that pressure networks are something that the development team is thinking about, so that's promising. But for now, we have pipe networks. And something that is really nice about pipe networks is the ability to take a look at the pipe network and again compare it to another surface if we have one. So I have a green existing site surface here, and down at the bottom here you have structures and pipes and pipe runs. Really powerful tools here to be able to change or swap parts all together. Right, we have wanted this feature for a long time, but if I select all the parts, I can right click on it and say swap part, and I can swap to a different part. So let's say eccentric. All right, so now all of these parts are eccentric. Let's do that for pipes. Let's say I want to do pipe, and not sure which pipe this one is, so I'm going to use my control key. Here it is, control key, it highlights it in the drawing. So let's say those 3 top pipes here I would like to change. So I'll do click 1, 2, 3, right click and swap part, and let's say this one should be 24-inch for some reason. All right, and here you go, the label update as you would expect because I've replaced the size. So that's really, really nice. Been wanting this for a long time. Now in the profile view, we can always see which run we're at. So as you can see right now, we're from structure 1 to structure 12, and that means I'm from structure 1 right here all the way running to structure 12. Perhaps I'm interested in looking at in profile view from structure 10 all the way to structure 1. So I can change this behavior up top here. I can select which structures do I want to see in profile view. And at this point, I might be interested in changing the slopes along that run, right? So you select the run that you want and then edit pipe run, and you have a lot of information here to be able to change all the pipes together, not one by one like we're used to. So I can say I want to change the invert or pull the invert elevations, and I want to say I want to be going at negative 0.5%. I'm gonna hold the pipe run start and just simply hit OK. And the elevations update, as you can see from the labels, they updated, this pipe updated, this pipe updated, this pipe updated. Something to be aware of, the structures do not update. All right, so you might see this kind of deal happening. The structures are still connected to the pipe, but I was made aware that the structure actually needs to, you need to drag this down a little bit. So that's the development team is aware of this. They're fixing it, but it's something to be aware of right now. The shadow that you see right now in my profile view, there is like a reddish color shadow here. This is your rules. So your pipe rules. You can see that my pipe rule for cover and slope I'm not meeting that at the very beginning here, and that's why I have a little yield symbol telling me I'm not meeting my rules, and obviously I can see the visuals. I'm not meeting my rule. I'm not in my shadowed area here for the rule to be respected. So it's a good visual feedback that I'm getting. So we also have sample lines and blocks. Blocks are really nice. I don't have any blocks in the drawing, but if you have a list of blocks here, you can read the the attribute tags. So for attributed blocks, and again, we can also compare to an alignment and get the station and offset information from the block location. And I feel like this is pretty important for contractors oftentimes. The 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 gold mine of this whole Project Explorer, in my opinion, is this last tab. It's called Object Set. It's a new concept, uh, and that's what enables us to create dynamic tables and spreadsheets that are easily updatable. So you can customize what you want to be able to report on, and then if it's part of an object set, it's easily updatable, and it may even be dynamically updatable in the case of an AutoCAD table. So to create an object set, you first create an object set, and then you put the objects in the set, and then it updates as a set. So um, that's just terminology for part of the Project Explorer. But if I create a new object set here, I can give it a name, whatever, anything I would like to be, and then I can choose what do I want, how do I want to report, what do I want to report on. So we can send it to a text file, CSV file, HTML, PDF, or even Word document, as well as you can create at the very bottom here, you can create AutoCAD tables in model space, as well as tables in paper space. We're fairly accustomed to putting AutoCAD tables in paper space for size reasons, but if you put the table in paper space, it may not be dynamic. In model space, it is dynamic. It can be dynamic. So I have toggle here, manual versus dynamic for updating purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new object set, and like I did, I'm going to do one for my pipes. So right there, I'm going to right click on that, and instead of a quick AutoCAD table, I'm going to say add to object set pipe list. Here I'm going to say a new object set. So I jump to this interface, and right away I'm going to say model, and I put it in the model space and click dynamic. Use layout in Project Explorer. We use a specific layout. I did not prepare a specific layout, so I'm just going to use the Project Explorer. You need to pick a point for location. So I'll put it somewhere over here. And then we use the full table style for object sets, or my own table style. So I have not prepared one yet. And then we simply hit OK. And there we go. So now we actually have two tables created. We have the object table and the sub-object table. So we have the storm table. That's the networks in my drawings. And then the sub-object here, the pipes in my drawing. So if I wanted to do a structure, right? So we go back to here, and now we have an object set, and we have a storm. This is a set. This is the stuff in the set. So let's say I would like to add to this. I can hit the plus sign, and this is everything that I can report on in the drawing. So I'd like to report in my pipes, and I'd like to report information. And let's say I'm interested in a structures list. Okay. Okay, and information updates right away. And I all the what you see in the table is based on the layout style. So this is huge. But you can easily customize what columns you want to see. When I will add a new one here, I'm gonna add a new object set. I'll do another AutoCAD table, and I'll make it dynamic. I'm gonna use my specified layout this time, and I'll go ahead and choose the layout I prepared for my Cougar Points. Position offset layout style, and it has the extension of the XMPT. So I add that. So this is one I saved prior. I'll put it right here. And for table style, again, I saved one out so I can easily reference it. So here is my table style. It has an extension of XMPA. So it would be wise to put this information on or these files on a network drive, so the whole team would reference these files for consistency purposes. And then you simply hit OK. And in this object set, what do we want to do? We want to put in our Cougar points. So I'm going to choose my Cougar points, choose my group, hit OK. So now it jumps in here. Now you notice how we have the object table and the sub-object table that contains the light poles. So this is the toggle right here. I may not want to see the groups in my drawing, so don't care about that. So that can go out. And this table, unlike the send to AutoCAD table command, this top one here is not dynamic, but this one is dynamic. So to show you that really quickly, if I go ahead and change one of this information here. I didn't compare it to anything, compared to sent place. Right, so I have it now compared. Right, so the stations, if I move this, I think that's really great. The way that we can just move the geometry, and this is a plain AutoCAD table, updates automatically. I think there's huge benefit. And you can also send this information to a spreadsheet if we need to. So instead of sending it to an AutoCAD table, I can modify this and I say, hey, I just want to do a CSV or an Excel file. Let's do a CSV. So in that case, we'd like to put it a location. I'll put it in my desktop. And I'm going to use the same layout style. So that determines what columns I would like to report on. And then you can also create a report style similar to table styles, and that will also be saved out if you like. I do OK. And then this is obviously not a dynamic behavior, but if I say run all or run selected actions, I get the history of how many times I've updated that Excel spreadsheet, and that should be available on my desktop. So now we have the information right here. So again, the information here is controlled by the layout style, and that can be easily saved out. So as you can see, the amount of information you can export out from Civil 3D is limitless, and with Project Explorer you have a lot of properties, and the properties are usually tabulated in a column view, and all of the properties that you're familiar with can be exported out in any format that you feel like necessary. To update anything that you export out, like CSV files, text files, Excel files, PDF files, to update that, it's always going to be a manual process, but you can, as long as you keep the object set, you can say run all actions or run selected actions from the list here. And when you do that, the settings that you have are going to overwrite. So if I run this, it's going to update the same spreadsheet at the same location with the same name, and it updates and tells you the version history of how many times I've updated the Excel file. So, and this whole information is saved in the drawing. So it's saved in the drawing. When someone else in the team opens the drawing, as long as they also installed Project Explorer, they will be able to see the version history and all the AutoCAD tables that may be in the drawing already. So this is a quick rundown of Project Explorer in Civil 3D. Again, it's debuted last week. It's a really awesome, exciting technology that Autodesk acquired, and now it's available to a lot of people. Anyone who has the AEC collection, right? So you have to have the AEC collection license to be able to install Project Explorer. It's available for Civil 3D 2020 and 2021. So if you have any of these versions, you can. It's always good to update to the latest release. So 2021.1 was released as well last week, but it's really a separate install, so they have nothing to do with each other. But I'd like to open up the call for any questions. If anyone wanna have any thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, anything at all, I'll be happy to hear you. You can always ask any questions in the questions pane as well. But I'm gonna unmute everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to speak.
Thank you.
Unmute. You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you everyone again. Thank you for your time, and I hope Project Explorer will be a benefit to your workflows. If you have any questions, feel free to contact MicroCAD at any time. Thank you. Bye-bye.